Hey friends, we are back over here at Creation Station, and today we are going to be making a dupe of a very popular drugstore lotion. Maybe you've heard of it, CeraVe. They have lots of different versions of their products. Today we're going to be making the Daily Moisturizing Lotion for dry to very dry skin. All of their products, as far as I know, are unscented, so we won't be scenting that today. I'm just making a tiny little batch. I've already made a larger batch about 2 weeks ago. I've been using it, loving it. So let's do a small little batch on camera so you can see the visual process. And as always, you can go over onto Patreon or in the member section here to grab the full formula. On the channel, you're going to get it in the description area. Over on Patreon, you're going to get it in a written PDF form that you can print out and keep. So those are the differences between the two. Okay, so without further ado, let's get going. In here, I already have my distilled water weighed out. The very first thing that I want to do, because we're going to be adding a little bit of hyaluronic acid to this formula, because their ingredient list, right here, contains hyaluronic acid. I'm going to be using the low molecular weight because I don't want to form any type of a gel by using the high weight. So we're just going to use the low weight for today. And so what I want to do is I just want to go ahead and hydrate this a little bit. I'm using some of the water portion so that I don't have to weigh out separate water portion for this. Just a little teeny bit. That's good enough. We're going to give this a stir, and then we're just going to set it aside. And by the time we're ready to add this at the end during cool down, this will be all hydrated. Another reason why I'm using this is because I want this to act as a penetration enhancer as well, to help that ceramide complex get down deep into your epidermis where it needs to be. And so the low molecular weight will accomplish that. It sinks in deeper. You can already see it's already dissolving very nicely. But again, we are just going to set this aside and let it hydrate on its own. All right, now we have our water portion. We're going to be adding a chelating agent. Always add a chelating agent, you guys, to everything that you make. It helps boost your preservative system. It binds the metal ions so that mold has a rougher time trying to develop itself. So we're going to add that disodium. I don't know if I said that already. This is the disodium, EDTA, not tetrasodium. I've always worked with tetrasodium, EDTA, and most recently, I found out that it's better to use the disodium, EDTA, in formulations which have a little bit of a more acidic environment. Matter of fact, I just did an entire long blog post about preservative systems in particular and why you should formulate that way, and always use a chelator. So I've used tetrasodium EDTA in my cold processed soaps since the very beginning. I just always have, just part of my formula. And then, like I said, I used to use the tetrasodium. Now I am using the disodium because I have learned something new. All right, that's going to continue to dissolve a little bit more once we get that on the heat. All right, so we've got our water, we've got our disodium EDTA. I'm going to set that off to the side. All right, so next we have our glycerin, which of course is our humectant. To that, we are going to be adding ethyl hexyl glycerin, which is also a humectant and an emollient. It improves the skin feel, it boosts your preservative system, and this is really good actually in deodorants because it inhibits the odor-causing bacteria. Also, this is a fixative for fragrances. So lots of good things going on with ethyl hexyl glycerin. We're going to add that to the glycerin. And all of the ingredients that I am putting into this formula is because I took all these ingredients directly from their ingredient list. And to the best of my knowledge and ability, I just reconstructed it. Give that a little stir, the glycerin and the hexylglycerin, ethyl hexylglycerin rather. The ethyl hexylglycerin has like an oily feel to it, more like a silicone. All right, once you have those two combined, we're going to go ahead and add that to our water mix. All right, now let's give that a little bit of a mix. All right, we're going to set the water portion aside. That's going to go into a water bath. Let's start on our oil phase, starting with caprylic capric triglyceride. Now, you guys, this is different than fraction coconut oil. I know that a lot of people have confusion about CCT and MCT and FCO and all of the things, but this is different. The caprylic capric triglyceride is like an esterification of caprylic and capric fatty acids, whereas fractionated coconut oil is just distilled coconut oil. That's all it is. So they're different. So we're going to start off with that as part of our oil phase. I am going to be doing a little bit of a deeper dive on the CCT, the MCT, the FCO, because people are very, very confused by all that stuff. And I was for a really long time too. All right, our next ingredient is going to be cetyl alcohol, which of course is our thickener. It's really moisturizing. It also acts as an emulsifier and an opacifier. So that's your cetyl alcohol. Next on the list, according to their ingredients, is going to be polysorbate 20, which is a solubilizer. If you think that some of this stuff is redundant, well, you could be right about that. But again, I am including all of the ingredients that they have in their ingredient list. And based on my own knowledge of the ingredients, what they offer to a product, their usage rates, that's in the proportions that I have come up with. And I can tell you the formula that I've been using, like I said, I made it a couple of weeks ago, a bigger batch, and I've been using it, and I really, really like it a lot. Okay, after the polysorbate, we're going to put in CeraVe 20, which is your thickener and also an emulsifier. Followed by BTMS 25. That's an emulsifier as well. Now, in the ingredient list, they have those two ingredients divided. They have the bihentrimonium methyl sulfate separate from the cetyl alcohol. Okay, they have those separate, but we're not going to be doing that because those two ingredients make up BTS 25. And so based on my knowledge of what each one of those ingredients provides to the formula, what the usage rate is with both of those, that's how I came up with the percentage for the BTMS 25. Okay. So once you're going to look at the screen and say, hey, wait a minute, she didn't put in the cetyl alcohol. Yeah, it's in there. Okay, after the BTMS 25, what I'm doing is I am subbing one of their ingredients because I couldn't find it. I can't even say it. It's, oh gosh, polyglycerol 3 diisostearate. There's two I's in it. That's why I can't say it. Anyways, I can't find that. But you can sub either polyglycerol 3 oleate or Olivem 2090, which is what I am going to do. So the polyglycerol 3 diisostearate just has like two simple molecules to it. But they both have similar properties. Like the Olivem 2090 has similar properties to the polyglycerol 3. Like I said, you can sub polyglycerol 3 oleate if you would like to. The Olivem is going to provide a nice creamy texture and slightly better stability, and it's a little bit more complex. than the PG3D. Let's just leave it at that. PG3D, that's an easier way to say it. Okay, so in we go with the Olivem 2090. I should have actually put this onto a watch glass. It would have been much easier for me to get this out of here because it's quite a viscous liquid. But it's also an emulsifier, in case you guys are wondering what this is going to bring to the table. You can use this, you can use the polyglycerol 3-oleate, whichever. And God bless you if you can find the PG3D. I know I couldn't. I try to look around, and I spend a lot of time, I mean a lot of time, doing my research and trying to find the ingredients, especially if I'm doing a dupe. So it's as close as I can possibly get to their formula. Do your research and find out what other ingredients that you can substitute for hard to find ingredients. All right, that's enough about that. And the last thing in our oil phase is going to be our dimethicone. And you do put dimethicone in the oil phase, you guys. It's just better suited there. I mean, you could put it in the water phase. It's not going to hurt anything, but it kind of belongs in the oil phase. Okay, now that we have our water phase and our oil phase, we're going to go ahead and put both of these in a water bath. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to measure the entire vessel of my water phase. We are going to lose some of that water due to evaporation. I want to make sure that I add it all back in so that we have the exact amount of water that we're supposed to have. So weigh your entire vessel and mark that down. And we will add back the water once we're ready to do that, okay? Give me a second. Those are going into a water bath. I'll bring it back when we're ready. Okay, we are back. Our oil phase is melted down. Our water phase has been heated up. I've gone ahead and added more distilled water for the evaporation that we lost, so we're good there. Now we're going to combine these two. You'll find that the ethyl hexyl glycerin is quite oily, but it adds so much to the product that you really, if you can get your hand, well, I got mine from the formulator sample shop. You can also get it at Bulk Natural Wholesale. All right, let's give this a little stir here first. You can see it's already starting to thicken up a little bit. So I think I'm going to go ahead and stick this into a smaller vessel, just because I'm going to be using my little mini whisk today to get this to emulsification, which it already kind of is right now anyways. But I don't want to kick up air bubbles is the thing. So give me 1 second. Let me go and grab a sanitized beaker. Hold, please. All right, let's get this into a smaller vessel so we can have a little bit of a better opportunity to get this properly emulsified without there being tons of air bubbles. Get every little drop of this. This is like liquid gold. Well, not yet, because we haven't added the ceramide complex yet, which is the star of the show. And I will put up on the screen right now what CeraVe stands for. I know the Cera stands for the ceramides, but I can't say that second word, so I'm going to put that up on the screen right now. Okay, now that we have it in a smaller vessel, that we can go ahead and give a little blend here with our mini whisk. All right, this is looking nice and creamy and luscious. Let's take the temp and see where we're at. All right, we're at 98, so we are more than good to go for the rest of our ingredients. So we need to put our preservative in there. Phenoxyethanol is what we're going to be using today. That's the preservative that they used. That's what I'm going to be using. Again, check out the blog post. You have to be a member of Patreon, though, to be able to access that. It's only $5.50, you guys. Go up there. I just did a whole revamping yesterday of all the categories. It's looking really nice. There's a lot of good stuff, a lot of good information. Not just recipes, a lot of good information. But anyways, you can get the password for the blog on Patreon. I did a huge post on preservative systems yesterday, actually. All right, that's in there. Very well. Okay, the star of the show is going to be our ceramide complex. I got this from Soap and More up in Canada because it was the most affordable one. You can get it here in the States at a couple of different places, but holy boy, the freaking price of this stuff is insane. Get it from Soap and More up in Canada. The shipping isn't that much, especially if you buy a couple of more things. Like I think I got a half a dozen other things. The shipping from Canada for like half a dozen items, and some of them were relatively heavy, was only $28. I paid double that to some of the suppliers here in the US for only a couple of things because they price gouge. Anyhow, that's a rant of the day. Ceramide complex. So what's in here is ceramide MP, ceramide AP, ceramide EOP. Oh, I'm going to butcher this one. Phytosphingosine, cholesterol, sodium lauryl lactylate, carbomer, and xanthan gum. So when you see all of those listed out individually in their ingredient list, this ceramide complex contains all of that in one beautiful formula. Get it from Soap and More up in Canada. It's affordable. But this is the star of the show. This is the ceramide. I want to get every last little tiny drip drab of this stuff too. It's not cheap, you guys, but it's way more affordable than the ones here in the States, I could tell you that. All right, let's give that a mix. You can see the viscosity now. It's getting lovely. I have found with this formula that this sinks in really quickly, and there's no soaping either. All right, now that that's it mixed in really well, remember the hyaluronic acid that we dissolved earlier? Well, that's going to go in next. As you can see, it's perfectly clear, just like I said it would be. There's no thick gel because it's the low molecular weight. So let's get that into the pool. That is an ingredient in the dry to very dry formula. So we are adding it. Word of caution about the low molecular weight, you guys. If you make this and you try this and you have sensitive skin, I would do a little patch test on the inside of the arm first. Some people with sensitive skin find that the low molecular weight hyaluronic acid can tend to sting a little bit when first applied. Doesn't last very long. I do not have sensitive skin. But I do find that the low molecular weight, depending on how much you've used, which in this formula I've used like hardly anything, it's like minuscule. But there is a ever so slight little sting to it. Lasts for, I don't know, 10 seconds maybe. Okay, the hyaluronic acid is in, and the last thing we're going to be putting in there is our vitamin A. All right, that's mixed in pretty good. Let's do a pH test. Let's put this one. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. All right, it's reading just a little bit high, so let me go ahead and correct that with my citric acid solution, and we'll do another reading. Okay, now that everything is all copacetic here, the pH is fantastic. This has cooled down considerably. You guys can check out the viscosity. It's very nice. Creamy, silky, velvety. I love this stuff, really do. Not as much as I love my barrier cream. because that stuff is the bomb damn diggity, let me tell you. Get some. Okay, what we're going to do is go ahead and put this into a pipey bag so that I can get it into the bottle, because it's too thick to pour. All right, let's get this off of here. All right, let me snip the end off of here. We'll be ready to go. Gosh, Butterfingers. Come on, Soap Chef, let's go. Time is ticking away. There we go, my goodness. This may or may not be enough to fill this whole bottle, but that's okay. I'll use another one at home. Yeah, it's not going to be enough to fill this, but that's quite all right. No worries. I have my bottle sitting right next to me that I've been using. I'll just add this to it. Not mad about it. All right, so it didn't quite fill because I made a very, very small little batch. That's fine. We're going to leave this set aside. This is really, really cool right now because I made such a tiny little batch. I could go ahead and put the pump in here. I don't think there's going to be any condensation that builds up. Just in case, I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, I have mine that I have been using for the last couple of weeks at home, so I can show you guys right now. This stuff is fantastic. Really love it a lot. So there's the texture, the viscosity. It's beautiful. No soaping. Sinks right in. Very nice, smooth glide. If I had to say anything about what it feels like, it's a little bit more watery feeling than other typical lotions that you would make with butters, let's say butters and oils and things. But there you go. That's all sunk right in already. Feels great. It's very, very hydrating. It's not sticky. It's not tacky. It's not greasy. It's just wonderful. There you go, you guys. That is my version of a dupe of CeraVe Daily Moisturizing Lotion for dry to very dry skin. So if you guys would like the full written recipe to this, again, it will be in the member section on the channel, or you can go over to Patreon and get it in a PDF format that you can download and print and keep for yourself. But before we say goodbye today,